Hey, Reg here, and this morning I want to talk a little bit about meat eaters getting in my face.
This is a world.
This is a world premiere.
This is a world.
So recently I watched a video that it was sort of a play on the things meat eaters say to vegans, right? Or things that, vegans hear, or questions that are asked to vegans. And it was someone kind of creating that video, recreating that video from a meat eater's perspective. And so it was things, if meat eaters said the things that vegans said, which first of all gets into this weird place where, okay, so now I'm the dominant group, and I'm now making a spoof video of a video made by the, minority group, expressing their kind of like discomfort with the positions that they're put in by members of the dominant group. So now you have a dominant group person proposing that there are things that meat eaters might say to vegans that might have the same impact on them that the things vegans say to meat eaters might have. And so that whole idea is just like, it doesn't work that way, right? If you're part of the dominant culture, your message is always coming across. Okay, so people who don't eat animals are constantly being confronted, bombarded with images of people consuming animal flesh. You don't have to say anything. So if you did say those things, it would be redundant because we're already hearing them. How often when you're watching television do you see a commercial that is sort of glamorizing the consumption of vegetables? How many holidays that are built into the culture, national holidays, are centered around the consumption of vegetables? How many times as a person who consumes animal flesh do you find yourself being mocked by a group of people who see the way you eat as strange? How often, as a person who consumes animal flesh, do you find yourself questioned by people about where you, how you're meeting your nutritional needs? Okay, so I'm going to imagine that as a person who consumes meat, you are rarely confronted with situations where the way you eat is called into question, and that you are surrounded by images, messages that reinforce the way you choose to eat as the right way to eat. This is where intersectionality would serve people who are trying to share and spread a vegan message. Robin DiAngelo has coined a phrase, white fragility. And white fragility explores the way that people who see themselves as white are often made uncomfortable when the subject of race is brought up. So I'm going to propose that if you are someone who is trying to spread the vegan message, especially if you're trying to spread it in, diverse places, right? But also if you're trying to understand the way that the treatment of animals is in some ways similar to the treatment of people who are non-white, reading Robin DiAngelo's essay on white fragility, and I'll include a link, or watching some of her videos where she talks about this concept of white fragility, might help you understand what happens to people who consume meat when people who don't bring it up. People who consume meat are lulled into a sense of comfort. There is a machine, there is a media machine that helps to ensure that people who consume animal products are made to feel as comfortable as possible about that. In fact, that the fact that there was a sentient being involved in the process at all is often all but erased, unless we're being given a very humanized version of that sentient being saying it's okay to eat me. If you're trying to have that conversation, I think it's really, really, really important to understand that people who consume animal products have been lulled into a sense of security, a sense of comfort, in the same way that people who see themselves as white have been lulled into a sense of comfort about their place in a hierarchy, in a social hierarchy that's been constructed so that white is seen as the norm, white is seen as the default. People who consume animal flesh see themselves as the default. So that's it for this video. Like it if you like it, share, comment, subscribe. This is Reg signing off. Love yourself. Peace.
And I love my